Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about classification in verb tense by me, Ariane Davis. So let's get started. What is classification? Classification is writing that organizes, sorts, and people into categories. So for example, this is a restroom door which has boy and girl on it. So it shows the differences and it'll be separated into categories for only boys and only girls. The basics of classification. One good basic is that if it makes sense. So if, say, you're separating into school subjects, the category is mathematics, but the subjects in mathematics are algebra, calculus, and geometry, and so on. 2 is logically set up. 3, detail, detail, detail. Description, you could describe it as detailed as possible to let the readers and whoever reads it understand it exactly. And lastly, it needs to be organized by time, space, or important depending on its purpose. The main basics, the first main basic is the main idea. Sorting items in a way that serves the purpose. So here's an example I drew. Is the topic is animal diet, and the purpose of it is describe what animals are classified by what they eat. And the organizing principle is types of animals based on what they eat. So I put carnivore. Carnivores eat smaller, only meat, which is smaller animals and insects. Herbivores only eat plants, such as grass and leaves. And omnivores eat both, so insects and plants, etc. animals. Second basic is primary support. The categories must support the purpose of the paper. To make sure you can organize the categories, be sure to ask these type of questions to be sure you've done it correctly. One is, do all the categories match the organizing example? 2, have you included all categories that could be covered by the principle? And lastly, do you have enough information? So as much information as you can add, because you would rather be more than enough than very little. Third basic is secondary support. So where a writer may choose to define each category, and he will also use a description such as a secondary support. So the example that I put is lower class and middle class. Lower classes are people who are lower status or working, who work at a factory or a handmade job, okay? Middle classes are professional business workers who wear suit and ties. This is my suit and tie, all right? The fourth and last basic is organization, and it's the classification that can be organized by time, space, order, and order of importance. Here's some information. To explain changes or events over time, that's the way you can organize it by time. To organize it by space, it means to describe the arrangement of people/items in space. For importance, to discuss parts of an issue or problem or types of people. And lastly, emphasis to focus on specific featured groups. You can see I put the kapow because they use that for emphasis or more of an effect. Important, you put the check to see if it's important. And time, of course, is a clock. And for space, it's space. Lastly, for classification, here are some common transitions. They are used to let the reader move on fluently or smoothly from one category to another. Some words that you can use are another kind, first, second, third, or for example. For instance, last, and one example / another example. Now we're going to talk about verb tense. What is a verb tense? Verb tense tells when an action happens, or will happen in the past, in the present, or in the future. Verb tenses also indicate an action you can complete or is ongoing. Verbs change their base from form or use the helping verbs have, be, or will to indicate different tenses. Regular verbs, verbs in English are regular verbs that follow standard endings to express time. Present tense is another form of verb tense, past, present. Present tense is used for habits, situations, or anything that you do not change, and actions that happen all the time. Regular verbs in present tense usually and always end in S or just have no endings. So, for example, here are some words that have present tense endings: jumps, walks, and lives. And with no ending, it would be just jump, walk, and live. Okay? In first person, here are some examples: I jump. Okay? Second person would be you jump. In third person, you use the word she, he, and it jumps, or the child, or the. And here's a little picture of my little stick figure jumping. Since I decided to drop art, that's the best I can do. Don't judge my drawings. Just kidding, guys. Okay, here is past tense / particle endings that end in ed. Past tense is used for actions that begin and ended in the past. An ed ending is needed on all regular verbs in the past tense. Here's examples for that. First person, I avoided, and you add ed at avoided, and that is the verb. Okay? So second person, you helped, ed, me. Third person, he walked quickly. Past particle is a verb form that is used with an auxiliary verb such as have or be. So an example would be past tense: my kids watched cartoons. Okay, so the subject is kids, and the verb is ed. So you add ed next to the subject. If the subject ends in s, it will end in ed. Past particle is they, the subject is they, and the helping verb that they use is have. So they have watched cartoons before. Okay? And lastly, here are irregular verbs. Irregular verbs show past tense with a change in spelling. Here are some examples. Present will be, draw, drive, do, buy. The past tense of those words was, drew, drove, did, and bought. And the past particle will be been, drawn, driven, done, or brought. You see the words, some of them have changed in spelling. Okay. And here are my examples. Break. See the hand, he's breaking the stick. Broke, where the stick has been broken, and it's just broken. See, it's cut in half. And that's it, guys. I hope this helped a lot. Thank you for watching.